I've had such like amazing moments throughout my drag career, just doing different shows where like I'll do a gospel number, and then people come up to me and they'll say, "Oh my God, that reminded me of like I saw Whitney Houston in 1992, and she was in Africa, and it was this whole moment, and you just took me back there to that moment." I was like, that's what I want to experience with people. I want people to have these moments where it's like, "Oh my God, that took me back," or "Oh, this felt like this moment that I had prior." And I love this moment in time. So it brought me back to that time. And that's that connected to an other moment, you know, like that was a sensory moment that happened, and people connected to that so strongly. And I love creating that or helping recreate that moment for people, you know.
Welcome to Faith and What Resonates, a show that explores the intersection of faith, spirituality, music, and art, and the ways we make meaning. I'm Gail Gallagher, professional musician and lifelong seeker. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church, and one of our principles is that everyone has their own search for truth and meaning. On this show, I talk to musicians, artists, clergy, and other awesome people about the ways that they find meaning as we explore the magic of the things that resonate. My guest today is my friend Raymond Cleveland, aka Coco Sho-Nell. Raymond is a drag artist, theater actor, singer, choreographer, director, and Chicago queer icon. In this conversation, Raymond shares about his spiritual journey and how he finds spiritual connection in performance, and so much more. I am so excited for you to hear this conversation, so let's jump in. All right, I am here with my friend Raymond Cleveland.
Yes, buongiorno a tutti.
Yes, I am. This is awesome. We're in the same room, hanging out at my kitchen table. Someone is blowing leaves outside.
They sure
Hopefully,
are.
we don't hear that in the back. But here we are, living our best lives. So Raymond, can you tell the audience a little bit about what you do in the world?
Sure. So my name is Raymond Cleveland, also known as Coco Sho-Nell. I am a local celebrity in my mind. So I do drag, I do theater, and I've been doing performance since I was 16 years old. So over 23 years.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. I guess 24 technically this year, but this August. So I've just been around the city of Chicago and performing different styles, from theater aspect to bar scene to different special events. I've been doing some different drag and talking with people at different churches and different like special events like that, and that's been really great. And I'm going to be doing in 2022 some new lectures and teaching people about like drag and how that connects to my spirituality and how we should be better about inclusiveness. So I'm really excited about that for 2022.
That's awesome. And I definitely want to go into the drag and spirituality thing. That's gonna be great. Cool. So So give me the like sort of how it started, how it's going of your faith journey.
Okay. So my mom is Baptist and my dad is Catholic. So when I was a kid, they never really like forced me to one religion or the other, or like one part, like starting like what should you be, or be Catholic or be Baptist or whatever. They were like, find your own journey. That was the biggest thing for my parents. So I did go to Catholic school for several years. So but I wasn't feeling Catholicism at all for me, because I just felt like there was all these like rules. It was like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, can't be this. Da-da-da. I was like,
oh my God,
that feels like what can I do? Can I just stand still and breathe? I don't understand what, you know.
They are into standing still and breathing. Yes.
They are. Stand, kneel, stand, sit, stand, kneel. No. So I went to Catholic school, and that wasn't for me. And then I started like exploring. So when I was about like 11, 12, I started to look at like, you know, Western philosophies and things like that. And then I stumbled upon practicing voodoo, actually. Okay. So I practiced voodoo for several years, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm interested in it. I like the practices, but I don't know if this is like the right fit for me. So then I found Wicca, and I was a solitary Wiccan for 7 years. until it was around like I was 23 or 24 when I was introduced to Buddhism.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, high key, being a hoe. I was like in my early 20s, going around like, your turn, your turn, your turn.
As one does.
As one does in your 20s. And then I was introduced to Buddhism. They were like, hey, just try this out. Because I was like, okay. Because solitary Wiccan was like, it was fulfilling to a point, but it wasn't, I still didn't feel like this is me. Like this is what I should be connected to. And then I went to a Soka Gakkai meeting, and I met some people there and just started practicing. And I've been a Nichiren Shonen Buddhist ever since.
Okay.
So that was 2004 when I got what they call the Gohanzan, and that's what you help to chant and connect to the universe. 654. I've always remembered that. June 5th, 2004. 654, because I like numbers.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I've been just practicing Nichiren Shonen Buddhist ever since.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, can you like break down exactly what flavor of Buddhism that is?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So there are over 200 sects of Buddhism.
Okay.
So Nichiren Shonen Buddhism is very similar to what people know it from, like Tina Turner, because she practices the same style, as well as Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
So basically you have a Gohanzan, and that's basically a piece of parchment paper that comes from Japan. It's a small tribe that actually makes these Gohanzans. And when you decide to like become a Nichiren Shonen Buddhist, you ask for your Gohanzan, and that's what you connect to the universe for. So it's a parchment paper that literally just specifies Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And basically just that's how you chant. And typically when you say things like, I'm going to do a daimoku, that's like, okay, I'm going to do some daimoku. It's a chant to connect myself to the universe. And that can go from like 5 minutes to like 3 hours. It's whatever you want to do, but it's just a way to center yourself and to like, okay, if I'm thinking about this issue or this problem, how do I fix this? Okay, let me do some daimoku and clear my mind and figure out how I can achieve this. And that's why I like Buddhism, because it's a way to clear your mind, center yourself, and focus on how can I fix what I need to fix. Not just like, some people just like wish for, oh my God, I'm just going to give it up and just figure out what happens, let it just naturally happen. No, this is a way to, how can I put the steps in motion to fix my problems, as opposed to just leaving it up to something else that may or may not happen. So that's what I really connected with. Okay. So
cool. Yeah, I hadn't really gone into like the different, like I read a lot of Tara Brach, so I don't know like what flavor she is within that. And of course there's just a lot of the like, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much, but there's a lot of influencer grade Buddhism that's out in the world. And I'm like, okay.
Like, I mean, honestly, there are some Buddhism that are just like Catholicism. Like they have priests, and you go to a temple, and you pay tithings and things like that. We are not like that at all. Like usually, so New Year's Eve or New Year's Day is like the big celebrating day for Nichiren Shonen Buddhists, because it's like, okay, we're all together. It's like a big holiday. And we just, if you can, like donate to like the center, because they don't have, it's a center. People just can go there and do whatever you can. But if you can't, we understand. Like it's not, there's no pressure. And I think that's what really connected with me as well. Because I'm used to like, you go somewhere every Sunday and then you pay your tidings every Sunday. And it's always like 10% of your earnings. And I'm like, why am I giving 10% of my earnings every Sunday to an organization? I don't understand that. Like, I need to go buy shoes. I need things for school. I need, like that was things that I thought of. Like, why am I giving 10% of my tidings or what I'm making to an organization for what? I don't understand that. Yeah. So yeah, and it's been, for me, as honestly, it's been more fulfilling in my heart just to keep me just centered and just like staying on the right path for myself, And I think that's what I like. Also, it was like, it wasn't like a plus B equals C. You do this and then you get this and that's it. This is more like, no, this is going to be a development moment of like following your path, and there may be bumps on the road, and that's okay. Just figure out how to deal with those bumps in the road. So
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. And I can understand that transition from like that like Catholicism and Buddhism, which can be very like, please check all the boxes.
Exactly. It's like, okay, you have to do this and you have to do that, and you can't do this, but remember you have to do this, and they may be different. We're going to accept them, but sort of not. Like, I'm like, I don't understand like these rules. It was so weird to me.
Yeah. And I'm curious, have you gotten into have you ever circled back to like any of like the Christian mystics or like any of those, because they have some Buddhist flavoring in them, and that's something I enjoy.
And I've been exposed to a lot of it, working with urban church. Here in Chicago, it's been really cool, like learning more about that, because I was never exposed to that when I was younger. So now I'm learning more about, I would say probably the last 3 years, I've been hearing more about this. I was like, I'm interested to learn more about it, because for me, religion and spirituality, there's something that I feel everyone should have in some aspect of learning about and knowing about. Like, you don't have to practice, but you should know about it. So it's, when you meet someone that's like, oh, I'm Episcopalian. Okay, well, you understand what that means when they say they're Episcopalian, as opposed to like, you've never been exposed to it. Because most of my family on my mom's side, they're all Baptists. So they don't understand like the Catholicism rules, like going to like the different practices that, Catholics do. And because they just been exposed to the Baptist lifestyle. And so when I told them that I became Buddhist, they were like, I don't know, are you going to shave your head and live in a temple? And I was like, okay, so you watch too many shows. You've seen too many movies. I know you love The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, but that's not how this is.
Yes. Yeah, no. Oh, man. Well, this is something that on another episode that's coming out in this block, Suzanne Yada just talks about how religion is like a language, and it's like learning to speak all these different languages, and like, okay, I speak a little bit of Jesus, I speak a little bit of New Age, I speak a little bit of Buddhist.
Yes, like, exactly.
Yeah. And it's important to learn all these different languages, because then you can translate it back.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we can understand each other as humans better if we like learn a little bit about each other. Like, it just, for me, I've always been a learning person. I want to learn more. I want to like absorb as much as I can in life in general. So I love like meeting different walks of life. Like, oh, they practice this faith or that faith. Or, oh, well, tell me about it. I want to learn more about it. Why did you choose that? What does it connect to you in your heart? Because that's always been my thing, is that you have to connect to it in your heart. You can't just like, oh, my mom did this and my grandma did this. Like, that may not be the journey for you. So you have to have some sort of connection in your heart to follow this path,
Yeah. And that makes me think, so you had a whole bunch of dots that you were connecting with your journey from, and so I'm curious, like, how did the like, voodoo, Wiccan thing happen? And also like, I have very like, dumb basic ideas of what voodoo is, and I assume it's not all poking like dolls and things like that.
It is not. So the thing about actually like practicing voodoo, people always give it like a bad rap. Yeah. And the problem is because it's based in African culture, and it's not as well celebrated here in the States. So the thing with voodoo is really about connecting to the universe, and that's what's similar to Buddhism. It's like it's such a different way of doing it, where it's just like there's like singing, there's like herbs, like they're just like grabbing herbs, and which is very much like Wiccan. So it's like they are all sister cousins. You don't realize how connected everyone is, until you actually like get into it. But voodoo is very much like, okay, we're taking these herbs and we're trying to connect to Mother Earth. Okay. And how do we use these herbs to like open ourselves up so that we can experience this positive feeling? Because honestly, voodoo is very positive. It's just the media and movies have turned it to make it like their own thing. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
And how was this practice for you when you were like a wee baby 20-year-old doing that though?
Well, so technically I was 13.
Oh, 13. Okay.
Oh yeah. Cool. So I was 13. I was going to Catholic school.
Okay.
And that's where I found everything was in the library, because I was very much going to library a lot as a kid. So I just started to study things. So I was like, I don't feel this fits me. So I just went to like the religious section, and they actually had a book about voodoo and the number of practices and the history of it and where it came from. So I started studying that. Then I just started like, okay, well, I bought some books and I started practicing. Just like, okay, I can just get these herbs here and burn this and like sing some of these, not hymns, but they were like, songs, essentially, to practice the faith. And I did that for a while until I started connecting to Wicca. And so the big change for me literally happened when I went to college.
Okay.
So when I went to college, I was 17, and I did not know it at the time, but my grandmother was going into surgery and having half of her lung removed.
Oh, shoot.
Because she had lung cancer. So I did not know at the time that this was happening because I'm in college, I'm studying and part of the theater program because I'm that gay. And then, so then we were like, okay, well, let's just practice some fun things. So it's okay. Well, I've been looking at some like Wiccan books and stuff. Let's try to do a seance and see what happens. So we did this whole thing. We were trying to, it was like, nothing's happening. And then I remember passing out. And so everything that I say after this point was told to me what happened.
Okay.
So they said I stood up and I kept saying, look to your grandmother. Look to your grandmother. And they said I held my arm like close to my chest, like it was not moving at all. They tried to wake me up and I could not move. And then I passed back out again. I woke up like, okay, what happened? I just fell asleep. They were like, you look weird. Your right arm was in a stiff motion and we don't know why you kept saying, look to your grandmother. The year before, my aunt passed away. So her birthday was December 15th. My birthday is December 17th. So we're both Sagittarius. We both really connected. Me and my Aunt Bernie. I used to spend summers at my grandma's house, and that was my grandmother, my Nana, to be clear, my Nana's house, which is my dad's grandmother. And over the summer, I would spend time with my Aunt Bernie, and she would like sell things out of her garage. She was a teacher, so I was very close to her. So she died the year before I went to college. And so when they said I wouldn't move my right arm, I was like, oh my God, she had a false arm. That's why my arm didn't move. Oh, shoot. Like she had a mental break, and she tried to kill herself, and they had to remove her arm when she was in her 20s. So that's why she had a fake arm. So I was like, oh my God. But then why'd you say, look to your grandmother? Because I don't call her sister. I call her Nana. I didn't understand why she said, look to your grandmother until I came home for Christmas break. And that's why my mom said we did. And I would say, is there something wrong with grandma? My mom's face, stone cold, said, who told you? I literally told everyone, do not tell Raymond what's going on with his grandmother until he comes home. So when that happened, I was like, oh gosh, maybe there's something to this Wiccan life. Because we were just trying something, and that happened. And I kept saying, why did she say grandmother? Because she was telling me about my grandmother on my other side, which was my mom's mom. So that's why I knew I was connected. They even got chills just that moment. That moment was like, oh my gosh, there's something bigger out there than me. And that's why I knew, like, okay, maybe follow something that's connected to you and fill that void, So that's why I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm going to practice Wicca, and that's my thing now. And I just kept doing it until I was introduced to Buddhism.
Okay. Yeah. And it's, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. Also, it's always college. It's always college. Just like
exploring things and just like awakenings. Yeah. Every time.
Yeah, no. Well, and the fun fact, the music that I used for the theme song for this show was a song that I wrote when I was 19, and it like came to me like at a piano, and it was like my first moment of like connection with improv and music and things like that. And yes, and so that's why that's the theme music.
See?
And I was like 19, and I was like, this is a moment.
And there's just something about that time period of like connecting, you're losing your childhood, but also like welcoming the adulthood of yourself. When you're in this like middle ground where things are just exploring and developing and blossoming. So
yeah. And your family is other confused 20-year-olds.
Correct. Very much so. Yes.
It's just a bunch of babies.
Exactly. They're just like, oh, okay. Well, do what you want, honey.
Yeah, which I've ranted about that before on this show, but it is very funny how that all works.
Very much so.
So tell me about the work you've been doing with like churches and drag and stuff. So you mentioned that you were doing some work with like the urban church.
Yes. My brain's old, so forgive me.
Okay.
But it's the urban, like usually like Lutheran or urban church. They basically what we do is we have sometimes like a drag show where it's just I'll do like a faith inspired number, and then we'll like read some stories to the kids, and it's just kind of incorporating the aspect of like it's okay to be different.
Cool.
It's okay to to be gay or non-binary or trans, because you can still practice your faith, whatever that needs to be for you. It's okay to be different, and it's been very cool to see all these different like communities coming together. Of like you have like your typical heteronormative couple coming together, and then you have like two daddies or two mommies with their adopted child coming in together, and they're all together worshiping together, and it's so amazing to see that, because 20 years ago, I did not see that. That was not the norm. Okay,
like
real talk. That was not the norm.
I grew up both in an affirming church and a non-affirming church.
See,
and now I have a podcast where I process it.
Yes,
right.
And a lot of things I'm still processing.
Yeah.
Seeing how and like a lot of people on my mom's side, some people are pastors, and deacons of churches. And I'm like, so I'm the Buddhist gay one. Yes. And it's okay because
Namaste.
Namaste. But it's been cool, like, because they'll have questions for me, and I'm like, okay, well, I have no problem answering that for you. Yeah. Like, what do you want to know? Like, I will tell you about it, and then that it's cool to have these dialogues with people that are like, okay, I've only been in this part of this world, and then they're exposed to something new. It's like, oh, that's cool. Well, let's have a discussion. Let's see how we can meet in the middle. And I can bring you into my world, and you can bring me into yours. And I love that. I'm like, yes. Like, this is what I want to see more of. Let's blend together. Let's all talk to each other. So it's not like I don't know what they do and they don't know what I do, so you stay over there and I'm over here. Like, no, we should be all blending together and helping each other and learning from each other. Yes.
And that I think that's so important. And I think sometimes, like, especially if you like been through the place of like people are probably going to tell me I'm going to hell, and I don't really want to have that conversation right now. Like, there's a defensiveness that happens.
Yes.
And being able to get people to approach it from a place of curiosity.
Yes.
Is so important.
It's so important, because that means if they're curious, that means that they're open enough to listen to someone else's where they stand on certain things. So, and we can also like, okay, it's not the whole like I agree to disagree. It's more of like, oh, that's where you stand. That's where I stand. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Yeah. And then move them forward. Like there's no, animosity or anything like towards each other. It's just like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that. Or, oh, you feel that way. Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
And it's so much easier to have those conversations, I think, too, when you're like a grounded adult. Because I think in the initial phase of, and this is my experience, but probably connects, but then the initial phase of like, when you're a teenager, 20-something, and you're figuring yourself out, there's like this justification of like, and is that okay with you? I want this to be okay with people. I don't want people to condemn me. Right. But then like once you are like in your truth, it's like,
this is what it is.
If I'm going to hell, that's a problem for future me.
Exactly. Like, you know what? Just give me a nice seat. We're good to go.
Like, I don't care.
Right, exactly. Like, I'll take the VIP section. Roped off. Thank you. Great.
Right? Like, because evidence suggests that I'm full of sunshine. So don't know what to tell you, buddy.
Exactly.
Like, there's a strength to that. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, man. Hi there. We'll be back to my conversation with Raymond Cleveland in a minute, but I wanted to quickly tell you about what's happening with the New Faith New Media Network. As you know, this show is produced by New Faith New Media and Interfaith Podcast Network. We just launched our crowdfunding campaign to help us pay for an amazing new website. This website will include our very own discussion forum where folks from different faith backgrounds can build community, discuss NFNM shows, and connect on other topics as well. Shout out to Susan Lavelle, Katie Oberly, Al Cole, Lori Morrison, CJ Tour, Richard Bell, Cameron Hood, Sue Burke, and Lindsay Brown for their donations so far. You can find out more about the campaign and how you can support by heading to bit.ly/NFNMindie. That's bit.ly/NFNMINDIE. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, back to the conversation. So tell me a bit about sort of how you mentioned how spirituality and drag come together, and sort of, I guess, riff on that. What is sort of the heart of that feeling?
So for me, it's been, so I've always felt like being a performer, being an actor is connected to something other than. I've always felt that way. So when I connect my spirituality with it, it's feeling like I'm connected more to the universe when I perform. And so when I a lot of times before a show or something, I'll do my daimoku just to get myself centered and connected to the universe. And I feel like, especially that goes into old backstage practices where we let's join hands and be connected.
And pass the squeeze.
It's just like, okay, now we're all together. We just have a moment to really focus together. And it's literally the same thing. It's just connecting to something other than, so that way we can have this amazing experience together, and I've always felt like spirituality is always it's always been something that you connect with on a personal level, and you just go to some place that's other than what we are physically experiencing here. And that's what I really like about connecting those two worlds together, is connecting to this other than the physical being that we have, because we're all filled with energy and light. So connecting to that energy and light and connecting that with each other, and just it's this amazing gift that happens. So I'm very fortunate to be able to enjoy that and share that gift with people, and I've had such amazing moments throughout my drag career, just doing different shows where I'll do a gospel number, and then people come up to me and they'll say, "Oh my God, that reminded me of I saw Whitney Houston in 1992, and she was in Africa, and it was this whole moment, and you just took me back there to that moment." I was like, that's what I want to experience with people. I want people to have these moments where it's "Oh my God, that took me back," or "Oh, this felt like this moment that I had prior." And I love this moment in time. So it brought me back to that time. And that's that connected to an other moment, that was a sensory moment that happened, and people connected to that so strongly. And I love creating that or helping recreate that moment for people,
And that makes me think of a couple of things. One, I had this just flashed back to my first drag experience. The first drag performer I ever saw it was also the first time I ever heard Pink's "So What?"
Oh, nice.
And so my brain just went to that. But also, there's something interesting you said about the moment with the Whitney Houston song. Is part of what you do as a performer is you're enhancing these songs that people already know. So there's that experience of everybody's deep connection to that song, as well as how you're embodying it, and in that sort of moment of transcendence, and that's really cool. Or stuff with and it's it's all theater, it's all stuff, but I'm thinking of the your plant.
Yes,
there was a Little Shop of Horrors drag show. And you were the mean green mama from outer space.
Yes, indeed.
And it was everything.
That was fun. That was I always wanted to do this song because I've never got to do it before. And one day I will get to play Audrey 2 the way that I want to. So I always had this vision of Audrey 2 being this drag alien.
Yes.
So I've always wanted to do where it's okay, we have the typical plant, but then we get to meet Green Mother. The plant actually opens up, and it's this drag being that controls all the flowers. So they basically would transform into their true state.
Yes.
So one day I'll get to do it that way because I've always thought that'd be a really cool thing. And I kind of saw someone sort of do it in UK, and I was like, you took my idea. I've been sitting on this for 15 years.
That's some big magic stuff. Have
That
you read Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic? Where, yes. Okay. For those listening who don't know, there's a bit in Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic where she like a story pops from her head to a friend's head, and they have a whole moment. And
Yep.
Because of the universe.
Exactly. And that goes to show you we are still all connected. So if you have an idea, jump on it.
Yeah.
Somebody else may use it.
It's going to pop somewhere else.
Absolutely.
What are some of your favorite songs to perform?
So some of my favorite songs, well, now, I have a Lizzo mix that I love doing because and even Lizzo has said herself, that's why I think I connected with her when I first saw her in concert. I've seen her like 3 times at concert. But
yeah.
She's number 2 of most person I've seen in concert. I won't tell you who number 1 is because it's embarrassing. But
oh, you can tell me.
We'll get that. We'll get to there in a minute.
Okay, great.
But I have a Lizzo mix, so I pretty much have like 8 of her songs in this mix. So it's like 6 minutes long, and I'm just like dancing the house down. But Lizzo has said, like, you know, for her, music is her church, and she wants to feel connected to that, you know, that energy. And I was like, oh my God. This is why I love you, because of like, and she said that in multiple interviews of like, music is her church, so she wants to have everyone come here and let's just, you know, vibe out together. So that's one of my favorite ones right now. Since it is the holiday season, I love doing "Joy to the World" by Whitney Houston. That's one of my go-tos. And I also have because I love doing mixes. That's my thing. And I've been doing Heart Mix. The band Heart.
Okay.
And I just love doing that because I'm a Black queen doing rock and roll, and I love that. Like, I've never been like I'm a Black queen, so I'm only going to do Black artists. I'm like, no, there's a huge plethora of music out there, so expand your horizons and do something different. So I love doing that. I'm also like, I grew up listening to this music, so this was like in my wheelhouse of what I would dance around the house singing to, you know? So yeah, so those are some of my favorite ones, like right now. I have like seasonal ones because there's some like in the springtime I do like this fun like Katy Perry one, and like it's things like that. Just like certain things like seasonal for me, like so that way I don't get tired of doing it, and B, like it just rotates so that people are always seeing something different from me when they come and see me. Yeah,
no, that's awesome, and I'm curious too, like, how has it been getting back to performing after as things have started to open up, kind of, sort of, yes.
Because Miss Corona was not nice.
No.
Not nice in a lot of ways. It's been interesting because like every place that I perform at, because I perform all over Chicago, it's a little different. Like some places are like, okay, we're very strict on like masks for the performers and the people that are attending. But I will say most places, they are always like, okay, everyone that's attending wear a mask. And it's been lately, because we're in Chicago, they have ordinances that the performers don't have to wear a mask while they're performing, as long as they're like distant from the performers. Like I just performed at Berlin, and we didn't have to have a full mask because we are elevated above everyone else, and we are kind of far enough away from them, so that way it's okay. But it's been weird.
Yeah.
As someone that lip syncs a lot, and starting 2022, I'll be live singing again, which is great. It's weird to lip sync with a mask, especially when I'm like, look, I am 6'3", 240 some pounds. I am a hot beast. So when I wear a mask, sometimes it gets foggy. It happens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can they see the words I'm lip singing? Because I am fogging up this mask. But yeah, I'm just glad that we are getting back to some sort of normalcy with performing and people coming out and seeing things. That's been really great.
Yeah.
Because I missed it.
Yeah, and it was so interesting, like going out on Halloween
Mm-hmm.
and seeing your show on Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
and just that moment of like, I just did the time warp while wearing a Star Trek uniform.
Yeah.
Nature is healing.
It really is. It
Like-
really is.
Oh man.
And hopefully next year I can be able to do my big Horrors of Horror show again. That would be amazing.
Yeah, can you sort of go on about the Horrors of Horror for this?
Yeah, so basically I'm a big cinema fan. And so each installment of Horrors of Horror, which is my Halloween show, it kind of delves into like horror themes, whether it's like creature feature or I did the one that it kind of started the whole change to make it a little darker, a little scarier, was a slasher.
Okay.
And the HER was different. So it was like slasher.
Her. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really a cool thing. Oh, we're playing on words. Like we're doing a little wordplay, and it's like, and I had a whole like thread throughout the entire show that there was a slasher, and I'm like, we're telling you right now, it's a slash her. So the person you're gonna see is probably a her.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. So yeah, and I had like a dancer do this whole psycho movement piece where the slasher and they like had a shower curtain up and we sprayed like the blood on the shower curtain, so she like would fall into it kind of thing. Then we had this whole like end moment where the slasher killed like all the performers in the show. And it was a cool like thing. I was like, okay, this is like a cool thread that people are like, if you're watching the show and you get like these interludes with the slasher, you'll understand what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm excited to do something like that again. If I can, it'll be like Slasher 2.0 or something like that. I want to revisit it because I think it was a cool thing. And it's something that I don't see with because there are a lot of like Halloween drag shows. And when I first went dark. When I first went dark with my show, there wasn't anyone doing that at the time, like an actual show. They would have like spooky numbers in a drag show, but it wasn't like the entire show is built upon like this aspect of creatures. So everyone's like part of a creature, or like movie like monsters that we are used to seeing, you know, like classic icons like Freddy and you know, Pinhead and things like that. So I'm excited for that to be a thing again. In 2022.
Yeah, because you do like all sorts of wild makeups for that.
I do, and that began my my journey with learning prosthetics and learning different makeup styles, which I think was a cool challenge for a lot of drag queens too, because a lot of us are used to what we call painting by numbers, where it's like, okay, this is our normal face, this is what we normally do, so we're just go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we are good to go. And this it's a way to exercise those creative makeup demons that you have inside of you. It's like, oh, I can do this, and this will be fun, and I can add this prosthetic, and this will be a cool thing to do, because you're like completely changing your face and what normal people see you as. So that's what I like about that.
What is like a favorite? So I asked you about favorite songs. What is like a favorite character you've played that was like a moment of connection?
So I did a play called The Death of Gaia Divine.
Okay.
And I actually played a drag embodiment of the Mother Earth.
Oh, cool.
So I really loved this show, and it literally showcased every single thing in my arsenal. Makeup, acting, singing, dancing. It was all in one show. And what I love about it is that it got to me using muscles I haven't used since college, and the depth of where I had to go as a character and as a person, like in like opening up some old wounds that I had buried long ago. But it was cool just to exercise that on stage and really get to connect with the audience that way of like seeing the earth as a physical person. And I talked about different things, and throughout the show we talked about how like humans, my gift was life to you, and how are you treating me by destroying me, by using all of my resources for your own gain, and then just dumping it back upon me and poisoning me. It's like, so thinking about that aspect of like, okay, and if I'm Mother Earth, I give you life, and how do you treat your mother? You know, like things like that I got to like explore and play with. And there was like such an eye-opening moment for me as a performer, because I didn't, you know, I tried to do things. I tried to recycle. I tried to, you know, do right by, you know, the earth. But also I was thinking like, well, what else could I be doing that can make it better? You know, like these are the questions I didn't think ask myself until I got this role. I was like, oh, so maybe I should be, you know, thinking more eco-friendly with things and like being more mindful of that. Like I didn't think about that until I did this role. I was like, oh, maybe I should be better with this, or maybe I should, you know, things like that. It started to open my mind up to what I was not doing before. And now it's like, okay, that's what I love about that role, was like, it opened my mind to what are you doing to better the world? Because it can start with just one person and build and bridge from that point, you know? And that's was such a cool experience.
It's so cool when like characters like teach you things and like, yeah, there's something about that embodiment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just, yeah, it gives it this completely different feel. I was curious. One of the things I'm curious about as an actor is because I've played a lot of first source characters or ones where it's like I'm either performing their literal words or they're people who've existed, and there's something really spooky about that happens. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Like I would literally have like decompression moments after the show because in that show I did not leave the stage from the houses open. So I was on stage the entire time. So basically 2 hours focused in these moments. And then, spoiler, at the end of the show, I decided to kill the earth.
Okay.
So killing the earth means kill myself.
Yeah.
Like, so at the end of that, I was like, I was in tears almost every night because it's like the idea of like making this choice. Do you let human society live? Or do you just say, I'm done with it all to end it all? And the fact that in the show I end it all, it was such a heartbreaking moment of like, how could you do this to yourself? You know? So I just had like a little like 10-minute like decompression moment backstage. Especially like I will say the first and the last show was like the hardest because that was like the realization of this is where we're at. This happened. Okay, let's process those feelings, you know, have a moment. And then the last show, the fact that it was the last time you're ever going to do this show, and all the emotions of like you built up running the show, building this character, building this relationship with these people on stage, and connecting to the other, and realizing that this is all over. That was like just a draining moment of like, oh my God, this is it. Like if this is real life, this is the end.
Yeah.
Period. So I had like a really, I was just bawling at the end of the show for that last show. And they were like, wow, you were really into it. I was like, yeah, because this is it. This is the end.
This is it. Yeah.
This is the end.
I did that with, there was a character I played in college. Her name is Isabel Bridey.
Okay.
And fictional character, but because this play had a lot going on, but the crux of it is that my character is a Scottish hunchback who was a servant girl who was smarter than any of the other people in the house, and it was like 1799, and like scientists were into studying bodies of by digging them up. Oh, okay. And so anyway, things don't go well for Isabel. And she has this monologue where it's her reading her suicide note. Lights go down, lights go up, hanging. I got to hang.
Oh, there it is.
It was great.
All right, work.
Nicer if you can get it. But but the last show, I really like checked in with myself and really gave the words that extra weight because it was the last time that she had that monologue. And it was really it was really weighty, and it was really special. And it was also like, it was also hilarious because it was my first main stage role after doing all this nonsense about like my body and my scoliosis, and no one wants to cast me because I'm a big dumb nerd and I'm not pretty and blah 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 blah, and I walk funny. And then they get cast as a Scottish hunchback who's the smartest woman in her time period.
Oopsie.
Like, I loved her.
I was like, that's great. I love it.
I need to stop clapping. I can see the waveform of it on the screen.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, future Gail. But yeah, it was this... Yeah, it's funny how these characters, you know, have this, like, own life and own embodiment. And I don't act as much because I want to play characters I care about. Right.
Right. No foul.
And ain't nobody going to hand me that right now because I don't act.
See, there it is.
Like, I don't want to be woman number 3.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I'm old.
That's real right there.
I don't have time for it. But even, but yeah, I think it whether we're serving a character or whether we're serving a song, like there is this, it is that connection with the other, and it is like you just got to ride the ride. Absolutely,
yeah, and just let the journey take you where it needs to take you, and I love that. Like it's such a freeing moment too. Just like, okay, just let the experience happen. Just let it work through you, and you could learn something about yourself or about an experience from that moment, you know? Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's like rituals within rituals. Like each song, you know, the way, you know, it going the way it always goes, but then you put that spin on it, or like the way a play goes, or wherever. Like it's, you know, there's these moments too, like when we do a show where it's just like, you just got to get out of the show's way. It always goes that same way, you know?
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, either way, you're riding the ride.
That's right.
Yeah. So what is next for you going into 2022 out of the things that you can tell a podcast?
Correct. Well, make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's Coco Sho-Nell. Because I don't use my Raymond page that much. But starting in January for a 6-month stint, I will be producing my own cabaret show at Room 13 in Lakeview. So I'm going to have different things and different live singers, both in drag and out of drag. So I'm trying to build those worlds together, the cabaret scene, the theater scene, and the drag scene, all singing live. So I'm going to be doing that, and I am one of the regular people that's going to be at brunch for Muffy Fish Baskets brunch at Twisted Hippo. So I'm a regular cast member for that, as well as a regular brunch performer for the Utopian Tailgate at the Second City building. Okay. So they have a once a month drag show. So I'm part of that show as well, part of the regular cast. So yeah, it's a lot of things in the future, and some things we cannot say yet.
Okay. Yes.
But just make sure you just follow me, and I'm going to have, another thing. Yeah. I'm going to be having a viewing party of some future drag shows in bars. So make sure you follow me in around March time, and you'll find out where that will be.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. Well, man, I feel like we covered so many things, but is there any other like thoughts that you're sitting with?
The only thought I want to leave you all with is make sure you do what's best for you. Your path is your own. So don't expect that you have to follow someone else's shoes because that's what they did prior. Follow your own journey, because you can learn a lot about yourself and a lot about different experiences from your own journey.
Awesome. This is so great. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing.
Thank you for listening to Faith and What Resonates. The theme song is My Journey, My Song, which is the first song that I wrote back when I was 19. Thanks, past Gail. Faith in What Resonates is part of the New Faith New Media Network. You can discuss this and future episodes in the New Faith New Media Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/NFNM group. You can also follow us on social media. Those links are all in the show notes. If you want to support New Faith New Media in our crowdfunding campaign, go to bit.ly/NFNMindie. You can also support us by becoming a patron on our Patreon. All Patreon supporters get access to our Patreon exclusive podcast, Blessed Lunatics, where the founding members of New Faith New Media explore the divine through laughter, which means that we drink and share stories and make jokes about our different faith backgrounds. It's a good time. Finally, if you want to find out more about the other things I do in the world, head to gailgallaghermusic.com. Thank you so much for listening. And remember to stay curious and follow the magic of the things that resonate.
New Faith, New Media.
Theology.
Nerdery.
Community.
Yeah.